What's going on, guys? Dave from Wake Up It's Football. It's been a while. A lot of life going on. Got a couple of kiddos. Just life, work, all the good stuff. But when it comes to football, we can talk football for a minute. Driving home from work, figured, hey, let's turn on the camera. So, Josh Jacobs news just broke. Might talk a little Packers. We're about a month out from the NFL draft. I did go to the NFL Combine back in February. Saw a couple of guys that I liked, had my eye on. It was just the quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers that I watched. So I went on that Saturday. And might not disclose my guy because we got my rookie draft coming up for my Dynasty League. You never know who's watching. But I got a couple of my guys that, kind of cut through the lull of the NFL Combine. Because, most of the time you guys got guys running around out there catching footballs and whatnot. But, you can still kind of gauge the good and the bad and, that sort of thing. And I got a couple of guys I got my eye on. So, but, Packers perspective, I think last year going into the draft, post-free agency, pre-draft for the Packers, I thought they really need to go out and address the cornerback position because, the question mark was Jaire Alexander. If there's no Jaire Alexander, what's happening at corner? Because I didn't think Keyshawn Nixon was this top-tier corner that's going to be your number one guy, which turned out that he was. That's what ended up happening. They signed, God, I already forgot his name because he stunk with the one season that he was there. That they signed in free agency from Oakland, or not from Oakland, from Las Vegas. Couldn't tell you his name because that's how bad he was. He's now with the Niners. That experiment did not last very long. And even with signing him, I thought that the Packers should have drafted somebody. They didn't. So they went into this draft. They drafted Brandon Cisse at corner in the second round. I think he's probably going to end up taking up one of the starting spots next to Keyshawn Nixon. Carrington Valentine will probably play a role as well. So that'll be interesting to see. But going into this draft, unfortunately for the Packers, I thought running back could have been addressed. But the running back class was pretty weak. A couple of guys I like Mike Washington out of Arkansas. Mike Washington Jr. But there really wasn't that depth at running back that you wanted in this class. So maybe they would have addressed it in free agency. They did let Emmanuel Wilson walk. He got signed by Seattle. Boy, do they wish they probably had him right now. So, I think there's a big question mark now at running back. Marshawn Lloyd just hasn't seen the field due to injuries for the last 2 seasons. I actually liked him quite a bit coming out of USC 2 years ago and just hasn't seen the field. So you got a massive question mark and a massive hole. Do they go out and find a trade partner? Do they find someone, a street free agent like a Joe Mixon? I have no idea. But it's going to be genuinely curious to see what happens with the Josh Jacobs news now. And I guess that's still kind of a wait and see, right? Maybe nothing happens. Does the league still suspend him? In Packers land, that's kind of where we're at right now. Otherwise, getting the team healthy after seeing Tucker Kraft go down last season, seeing a couple other guys go down due to injury, Micah Parsons going down to injury. The team has potential. I think they addressed a few needs in the draft, especially on defense. So, unfortunately, now we got to deal with this. So we'll see where it goes. But around the league, I'd say some teams had some interesting drafts. I think positively, I like what the Browns did. I like what the Raiders did. 2 teams that you don't typically hear in a positive light when it comes to acquisitions and drafts. But I thought they both did pretty well, especially the Browns building on their draft from last season. Teams that had question marks in my mind when it came to the draft, 49ers. I think as time has gone on since the draft this last month, You know, Deshaun Stribling has been spoken about in kind of a negative light. Oh, he was a reach. He was this. He was that. But you know, you're seeing and hearing things about him more in a positive light. Potentially, okay, maybe he wasn't as much of a reach as some people thought. The running back Kalon Black in the 3rd round out of Indiana, I thought was interesting as well. Didn't think he would go that high. There was, in my mind, a lot better running backs, even though it is a weaker draft class for running backs. That could have definitely gone ahead of him, but they liked him quite a bit. I think the Jaguars had a weird draft. So, yeah, I mean, let me know. I think this is just going to be this is kind of just me spitballing, driving home, thoughts off the top of my head type video, but it's just been a while and just figured I'd check in. If there's any questions, any topics you guys want to discuss, throw them down below. I'm trying to think if there's anything else before I sign off here. If there's anything else NFL news-wise. Yeah, I guess just the other thing, I did not expect the Patriots to be in the Super Bowl this last year. I think they were drafting in the top 5 last year. They took Will Campbell, I think 4th overall. At that time, I was a big proponent of them trading back, getting more picks, and just addressing as many needs as they could. And that just didn't end up being the case. They took Will Campbell. I think for the most part, it sounded like he played pretty well throughout the season prior to the playoffs, and then he kind of had a pretty rough Super Bowl. But overall, solid prospect. But even then, like, was not expecting them to make the run that they did. And Drake May stepped up. I don't know how much of a Drake May guy I am so far, even though he had a solid second year. We'll see how that goes. I still like guys like Jaden Daniels from that draft class a little bit more. And even as a Packer fan, I'm not going to go as far to say much about Caleb Williams. All I'll say is Caleb Williams plays hero ball. That's all I'm going to say about Caleb Williams. But we'll see. Yeah, topics down below. We'll see if I even upload this. But thanks for tuning in. I'm out.